Okay, there we're recording. It is July 22nd here.
Who? Leaping over massive marketing hurdles with SEO, faster than a speeding bullet to acquire clients with crowd targeting, X-ray eyes of act to find the right customers. That is supermarketeer John Limbacher.
Sing that time, sing that.
All right, I need a cape.
I was saying, it sounds like Batman.
Yeah. I definitely need a cape. All right, so I'm going to cover a couple of things here. I don't see Jeff on. I wanted to hit his thing, but let's start with Dwayne because he's got to go get his teeth drilled on him. I do not envy that. So Dwayne's putting a membership site together here, and he kind of gave me the rough outline. I'm just going to kind of go through the bullets here and give my feedback. So he says he's got a 21-day window to sign up for the $29 a month. That's cool. Or $250 a year. That's fine. That's a little bit of a discount there. The only thing I don't like about this, it says then the price goes to $39 a month. So I'm assuming that's after a year. I personally wouldn't do that.
That means for new people. Once people sign in at 29, they have that price as long as they're there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that's totally different then. So what you want to do then, you want to come out with, this is $39 a month. That's your standard pricing. And because you're getting it in this 21-day window, you get to take advantage of the 29 and lock that price in for life. So that's perfect. I thought you were going to say, you get it for $29 for a year and then it goes to 39. And I'm like, oh, no, don't do that.
No. I'm slow sometimes, but I caught that one.
Gotcha. Okay, so that looks good. It says I'll provide 60-minute calls weekly, so that's cool. Let's see. Wednesday Pacific time, that's good, noon. Now that also depends. The reason that I do this particular call on Thursday at 11 wasn't because it was convenient for me. It wasn't the time I picked.
You asked people.
I did. I put out a Survey Monkey thing, and I did it several times. I did it as the group grew, I did it several times, and it was pretty much predominantly, it fell on Wednesday at this time frame. So I'm like, all right, well, that's fine by me, because this call is to make it convenient for as many as possible. So anyway, that's why I did it. Next, you've got number 3. I'll provide 1 free content piece per week to help with legal stress. Now, that's perfectly fine, and that's a great thing to do. For me, it just kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit.
Because of creating content?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a commitment. You're making a commitment, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a big commitment to make, to that you're going to create a piece of content every week. That's 52 pieces a year.
Wow. Yeah.
And how long is this going to go on for? 10 years.
Until life on Earth ends.
Yeah. So I don't know that I would throw that out. Like, I can't tell you how nice it is for me to be able to open this call without having had to create a piece of content for it. The call itself is the content. So,
okay.
And everybody's perfectly happy with that. I mean, I don't think I would have anybody that jumped out of this call because I wasn't creating a specific thing for them every week. The call itself. So that's the only one that I just see that I'm like, oh God.
Great. Okay, I'll drop that one.
And that might just be me too, because I'm so freaking lazy.
That is a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, just think about that. The last thing you want to do when you're creating relationships with your prospects is let them down. So don't set yourself up for failure. If you want to create a piece of content for them, that's great, but just don't promise it to them. Have it be a bonus.
I'll just have like maybe one a month, and I'll give them stuff now and then, or make them buy my stuff. That'll be even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm by no means am I saying not to give them stuff, not to give them content. It's just be careful with the commitment level that you're agreeing to on an ongoing basis. If they
Right.
believe me, they will hold you to it too.
Mhm. Right.
So, and that's, you don't want to let them down. You want to provide a stellar experience from beginning to end and have them truly be lifetime customers. Okay, and then you say, I'll sell other products, a 30-day program at half price. That's awesome. Member benefits, that's a great thing to do. Okay, I'll market through at least one free webinar, some influencer friends, articles. Yeah, basically you want to market through any means possible to reach your prospects. So I think you're definitely on the right track here. I don't see anything glaringly wrong with this plan. I think it's a great plan. It's very similar to what I'm doing. And it works really well. It's been working for a very long time for me. So
Excellent.
it provides the whole weekly thing, even though, there's some people that don't show up weekly. I've got some people, they'll be on here like once a year. But believe me, when they're on here, it's because they need me. And
that's a good point. Yeah. They have access to me for life for $29 a month, those first people.
Yeah, it's like cheap insurance. People pay for insurance throughout their entire life in case they need it. They don't pay for it, because they want insurance, but they want that peace of mind. They want that feeling of they're going to be covered. Any problem that they have, they're going to be covered. And that peace of mind, for $30 a month, that's well worth it to most people. Definitely well worth it. So
excellent.
Good stuff. All right. Well, so good job. Go get your teeth drilled and then come back and get to work.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
See you guys.
Okay. I've got, let's see. We don't have our person on for the next one. So we can go ahead and open up. Randy, you got your hand up there.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I have a small problem and I have to take care of it like pretty doggone quick. I looked all over Kartra to find out, okay, you have a client who's paying monthly and their contract or agreement's coming to an end. Where do you go to turn it off so you don't bill them when you're not supposed to be billing?
Gotcha. So you would just want to cancel their subscription?
Well, I want to keep them in my database.
Yeah. No, I'm just talking about their paid subscription.
Yes, their payment for the coaching service. Yep.
Gotcha.
Actually, this client is sponsoring a relative and his time has come to an end.
Okay. So there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could set this up to be automatic in the beginning. By when you create the product, you can set it up for installments and you can have the number of installments, then it'll automatically stop at the end. If you just set it up on a recurring, like I do, I just set everything up on recurring because there's no end to it. And you want to stop a particular subscription at any time, it's super easy to do. You just go in to edit the contact. Yeah, so inside Kartra, you go to the communications tab, and then you go under leads, and in
person's
Kartra,
name.
Yeah, they call them leads. So you look that person up, you click on them, and that opens up their contact record. And then you've got a bunch of tabs across the top. You go to the transactions tab.
Okay, I'm there.
When you click on that, you'll see the transactions. You'll see the monthly figure. You take the last one and you click on the order ID of it.
Okay, I did that just now.
And that's going to open up another transactions window, and click on the order ID again. I don't know why they make you do it twice, but just click on it again.
Well, and that's where it says rebill though.
Yeah, that's fine. Just click on that order transaction.
Okay.
And that's going to open up the order details window.
Okay, I see that.
And then scroll down to where it says your billing actions and check off cancel future recurring payments.
Billing actions, cancel, and then hit process.
Yep, that's all you have to do.
Okay, so the person doesn't fall out of the system, but and
Nope.
if that person wants to come back on for another product and they're already in there, you
They
just
can do
start.
that.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Yeah, so that all that does, it just cancels this particular subscription. It doesn't take them out of your database. They're all still in there and all is good.
Doggone it, you're awesome. Thank you.
There's other stuff you can do too. You can notice you can change their pricing of their subscription in here.
Yeah, that was something I was thinking about too, because if they don't come back on with probably within 30 days, then they're going to get my regular fee. This particular person's already a client, so because she was sponsoring somebody, a relative, I gave her a huge discount, whatever you want to call it. But
Yeah.
if they come back on, or if that person says, hey, I want to keep coaching, I'll pay for it myself, then that's going to change. So so I can change it right there then. Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you a thing here. I'm actually logged into my Kartra account. I've got a recurring thing here for 197. So
Right.
if I want to change that, I can edit the pricing right here. I can change that to whatever. Like if I get somebody that's going to fall out, I'll make them an offer. I'll say, hey, would you like to come in if I reduced your rate? Would you like to stay involved? So it gives me the flexibility to do that. The other thing I can do is I see when their next payment is. Like this guy's got a payment coming up in 5 days. If he's going to cancel, generally when people cancel, it's a money thing. So I'll say, hey, what if I give you a free month? And what I can do, I can go here and I can reschedule his next payment. I can just push it out a month or 2 months or whatever.
Okay.
And then also, this is what I told you to do, cancel future payments.
Right.
If you don't want to cancel them, you can just pause it. So you can pause it indefinitely, and then you can reactivate it without them having to put their credit card in again. If you cancel it, they have to put their credit card back in again to restart it. You can't manually restart a canceled subscription.
Got it. Awesome.
So
okay.
That's the way that works. So you have a lot of flexibility inside Kartra with what you can do, as far as your billing.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. Who else we got here? Right, Roger, go ahead. You're next on the list there.
Hey, John. So quick comment. We talked about this in, I think it was Craig's group. So I just want to sanity check that it wasn't here. I'm building out the websites now, and it's kind of the do or die on the naming. So what Michelle and I had previously agreed on is this. Let me see if you can see this. If I'm full-size speaker mode, you should be able to see this. Does it come through okay?
Yeah.
Right side up, right?
It's right side up.
Okay, backwards on mine. So
I can't really read. It looks like Playwife.
No, there's a P in the form of that gold jewelry logo.
Okay, I didn't see the P. Okay, gotcha.
This is on a vertical screen, so if I share my screen, it'll just be this weird vertical thing, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I got it. I just didn't see the P. It was the P didn't stand out being that small.
Agreed.
It's hard to read the P, Roger.
Yes, because it's smaller, because it's just light and not very contrasted.
Yeah.
Just fill in the body.
That red just, the red of the rest of it really pops and the P just kind of disappears.
Okay. So it actually stemmed from Michelle found a piece of jewelry that's a letter P where it's double looped. And she loved that as a, Playwife Plan, the PP, so that when it's in an avatar style little logo, it's just the P. It has the double P, and I do put it on black. It pops a little more with black. So going aside from that, looking at if it were on black, I should pull that one up. It'd pop a little more, but the red doesn't pop as much. So it might just be that it's so small too. It's a little tiny on the screen here because we've got everybody's window up. So Right. Do you have me in speaker view where I'm big? Or do you have me in tiny view? If I'm in gallery view, you're not going to see this.
Yeah, I'm in gallery view.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Put me in speaker view.
Okay, there you go.
I could force it by doing the share screen, even though it'd be this weird vertical thing.
Yeah, well, that's better, but it does not correlate. It doesn't.
Okay, so the big
It looks like a meme next to that. So that doesn't read well.
okay. Second thing is
put a black outline around it.
Yeah, regarding the name itself, the name harkens to kind of the pseudonym that we're known for, but not to the field. The field is the term is hot wife, not playwife. And we wanted to kind of create our own version of it where it's more about the couple and the romance between the couple, the husband and wife, and call that playwife. But Craig's group was talking about, then you have to spend a lot of money to market it. So the second idea was to change it to this. This will be hard to see unless I'm in, I think, speaker view, but can you see that where we changed the logo style to be cutesy with the A, and I don't know, obviously in Fiverr or some graphics artists that have to do it right, but just a first impression, do you prefer that to the other one? Something
what if you did hot wife play plan?
Okay, that's just way too much.
I agree.
But thank you. But what we did was, so our original one was Your Hot Wife Life.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, that's our new one. Damn. Hot Wife Your Life. But Craig had just changed to Rock Your Life, so he vetoed that, and I'm okay with that, right? So our new one is Your Hot Wife Life, and I don't have any kind of an imagery, and so I was just toying with it, and this is really bad graphics, but Michelle is very much against doing anything that's too adulty looking, even though it's an adulty theme, right? She wants a wink and a nod, but not something where she wants to be able to take the business card and hand it out in like a mastermind group or something and not have people feel like they're getting something on a Vegas street, right? So I don't know how to do it. So I guess my two questions are, number one, do you like Your Hot Wife Life better than
I would
Playwife
say
Plan?
you really need to ask women about this if that's what you're marketing to. Are you marketing to men?
Well, okay, so the actual
as a
answer
woman,
is,
I don't like any of it. I like the PP better than this. This looks like too sexual. So it depends
the
on your
imagery or the words, the
imagery
name
and the
itself?
words.
And
It
the
doesn't
words.
feel-
Your
it
Hot Wife
doesn't
Life.
feel classy. It feels cheap.
I think it's more the imagery here, because that looks like a card you'd get on the Vegas Strip.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to avoid.
I would tend to agree with Michelle on that. The wink that's all you need. The your hot wife life, I like that. Again, you might want to go and figure out like who your audience actually is, if it's men or if it's women, and
so
like she said, ask them what they think. You should always do the analysis process. You should always pull as much out of your market as possible, to figure that stuff out. But one of the things I like the Your Hot Wife Life since the first time I heard it. It's very catchy. It's got a ring to it. I mean, it's frighteningly close to the Annie thing. Like we talked about.
We don't like that.
Okay, well, here's something where you don't have to connect it. I was talking about you having the jingle, the hot wife life. and that, I know that's way over the line. But one of the things that I was trained on back in the 80s was subliminal advertising, and having the mind connect dots of familiarity without actually saying or connecting the dots for them. you could have some sort of a rhythmic jingle of it doesn't say
we're not going to do anything that even remotely gets there. There's this new trend. There's a new trend in the porn side, which we don't try to really participate in, but it's all faux incest, stepdaughter, mom. It's gotten creepy weird, trying to stay as far away from that as we possibly can, while just having, so this is empty nesters. Our audience is male who want their wife to explore the idea of a responsible, occasional non-monogamy element.
Yeah. So then I would probably, based on that, I would probably steer away from, the hot wife life altogether, because it's just very closely related to that, and as far as like from the subconscious thing, it's going to connect the dots. It's too close to Annie.
So this is your hot wife life, right? That's the name that we have, and we're thinking of going with as our primary site that we advertise, as opposed to Playwife Plan. And the reason is because that lifestyle is known as hot wife. It's not known as Playwife. Yeah. And we've tried to build a little bit of a following around the idea of Playwife, but it would take a lot of education of the market. John, are you telling me that remove the imagery, the female imagery off this, but you're saying your hot wife life, now that you've heard it in your brain, you can't disconnect it from the Annie theme. But I've never heard anybody else that I've mentioned this to ever connect that dot.
Okay, well, they may not connect it consciously. And that is the whole thing with subliminal advertising. They're not supposed to, but the mind will make the connection. It's the reason that it probably made the connection for me is because I'm trained to see it. I'm trained to pick up on that kind of stuff. So that's why it probably popped into my head, and I could see it consciously. Like, I'll give you some examples of this stuff in real life that it would blow your mind. It's everywhere. It's all around you, and you're not seeing it consciously. A perfect example was McDonald's does this around high schools. And I know you guys are going to think this is sick. Some of you are going to think this is twisted, and it is. But what McDonald's discovered, and I don't know, at some point who did this or who did this work, but they discovered that high school kids that are not having sex are frustrated and they want to make that connection. So they actually put that imagery in their Big Mac, and they put this around high schools. I'm not kidding you. The first time I saw it, it blew my mind. I'm standing in a Big Mac, or I'm standing in a McDonald's, and this was some time ago. This was probably 20 years ago. Standing at McDonald's, all these high school kids are coming in from their lunch break, and I watch stuff. I mean, I pay a detailed attention to what's going on around me to a fault. And I notice all these kids are ordering Big Macs, every one of them. They're not ordering Happy Meals. They're not ordering anything. They're ordering Big Macs. That's it. Big Mac, please. Big Mac, please. Big Mac, please. I'm thinking, what the hell? That's not normal. They got a whole menu of stuff. This is not normal. And I look up, and 6 feet wide, right in front of me, there's a Big Mac poster. And I swear to God, in the lettuce, sex is fun. Written out as plain as day. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. And nobody saw it. I pointed it out to a couple of people, and they just about lost it. It was plain as day, readable, written out in the lettuce, and nobody saw it. And I was like, wow, that's pretty bold. But those kids their subconscious was connecting that with the fact that they wanted to have sex and they couldn't, but they could have that Big Mac, and it worked.
John, that's a great story. My question to you is, I understand the jingle popped in your head, but for the lay person, do you think if
they won't see it?
Because the question is, do I then go back? There's 100 variations of the word hot wife that are already taken. They're just park domains. They're just dead domains, $5,000 to buy, right? So we're looking for something that implies we'll coach you into it, but we'll also coach you once you're in it. Like, John, that's what you do. You aren't just teaching people how to launch a business. You're teaching them how to grow and expand and manage it while ongoing, right? So
yeah,
your non-monogamy life is kind of the idea. We're starting with the hot wife segment as opposed to the broader, all the different varieties of non-monogamy.
Sure.
But I just want to be sure in your mind it doesn't connect. And do you think your hot wife life is a good one over Playwife Plan?
I do. I've liked it since the beginning, since I first heard it. And, you know, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, I see how I connected the dots on that. And I also see how no one else would. You know, it's like McDonald's is bold enough to put that on their poster, and no one saw it except for me.
Okay, good.
So I don't see that as people are going to connect the dots and call you out on it.
Hey, Roger.
Yeah.
Visually I was thinking about what you're saying and then thinking about what you said as a business card. And I was visualizing the name of the company or the name of the business company. And on the opposite side, a visual, just a simple set of pretty lips that doesn't say anything other than they're just a set of pretty lips on the flip side. And I was trying to see what other visual would make a connection for me, and just something that simple rather than more graphic makes the connection for me. But I'm like everybody else. I didn't make the connection to the Annie thing. There was just nothing there.
Good,
So how John
got
there is beyond me.
Good,
Yeah,
because
you know,
when
Roger-
John immediately started with that, my thought was that John is telling me to change our name again, you know, because I don't want that, but I feel better.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
wouldn't change it. The
Roger,
name is fine. I wouldn't change the name. The name seems fine.
Yeah, and
Just-
to the point of the lips versus the wink, I think I would tend to steer toward the wink, because lips is sexual. A wink is like, it's a secret, you know, and that's, I think the whole thing of you know, confidentiality here is probably a pretty high priority.
The problem, John, is I like the wink the most, but once we change the name from Playwife, there's no A. The wink is an A, and there's no A in your hot wife life. I don't know. I can't figure out where in there to.
Well, you
know,
could design that as a meme that goes next to it. It doesn't have to be like part of the words.
Yeah.
It could be part of the logo. You know, a lot of times you'll have a logo, like I've got an all-seeing eye on my logo, you know, and some people think it's Illuminati, but it's, you know, to me, it represents seeing the future and, you know, all of this stuff. But, you know, if it's good enough to be on the $100 bill, it's good enough for me. But it's a meme, you know, it's sitting next to the words. It doesn't have to be part of the words.
you know, Roger, can I just jump in with one thing? Roger,
Yeah, buddy.
first of all, I love what you guys are up to. You know, I think it's needed and wanted. And it's always, you know, if you read men are from Mars and women are from Venus, man, you got two different audiences. And, you know, if it's like trying to make it palatable for a lady, the lady happens to be your wife. That's your first sale of how we're going to come out and approach this. You know, I also thought there's a sensuality in the Victoriana era. You know, women in lace bodices, stuff that's not, but something that recalls an era of sexuality and suppression, and now we're out. You know, and because women like men like sex as much as men, right? They just don't want to let you know. I think that's what it's always been with me. So, you know, it's almost like you got to convince her. How hardcore do you want to go? How much money do you want to make? And because if someone looks at you and looks at her and goes, oh, you know, they got a swapping thing, then you have to say, think what you will. We're in it for the joy. And, you know, just tell Michelle, you know, I mean, I was in a husband and wife that were in the pornography business together. And they could have been slinging fish at a market. It was all the same. It's all business. I don't know. I don't know if any of that helped.
Woody, that did. And I have a question for, and I've not met you before. Is it Kia? I really appreciated your feedback earlier. I hope you're still with us.
Yeah, she's actually new to the group. I hope this doesn't.
Yeah, Kia, I hope I'm not pushing you away.
It's all about marketing. Yeah.
It's Kaya.
Kaya, hi, Kaya.
Yeah.
Hiya, Kaya.
Kaya.
So taking Woody's feedback, and the only reason I'm taking this much time, and I'll yield here pretty soon, is we are launching the website and I have to know which site to put our stuff on. But Kaya, I guess my question is, Woody's feedback is that even though initially we're marketing to the man, it will be the woman whom in our most of our year one audience will be the one that we have to sell to. What would be the imagery that you think would not be too off-putting, too, I don't know.
So my
overly
question
sexualized?
would be, where are you marketing and why would you say the woman is the one determining it? The purchase, like who has the purchase power?
The reason that I say that is kind of like a house, in that it's the men who want the women to agree to participate. So the husband is convincing his wife. We're initially going to find husbands coming in, but we'll ask the wife to, to join the coaching program.
I think a better question, Roger, is who are you selling your product to? Mm-hmm. Who is going to actually pay you for your product? That's really, for the marketing part, that's the important piece.
So you can get the man to sign up, but the woman might not participate. But if you want someone to participate, then that would change who you're marketing to.
Yeah. If this is about having the man sign up so he can educate himself to how to introduce his wife to this, then he is your prospect and he's the one that we're talking to. So it's all about figuring out, who you're selling to, why they want to buy it, why it's important to them. And then any objections that may come up or may be in the way, then we need to address those and eliminate those.
And you're a man, so you're going to find it much easier to speak to men because you know what men are, as opposed to women, which is a whole other thing, as you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah. Can I jump in?
Well, I think we're about to wrap this particular one up.
Right. I just wanted to ask you and John, like for Roger and Michelle, would it be beneficial to, how you wanted Woody to put up buyer or seller, just two big buttons, and have, I don't know, a man's perspective, a woman's perspective, and have two portals and they go down two different rabbit holes? I don't know how you'd create that, even just with a symbol, the male and the woman's, symbol, and then they click on, let's just not even get into all the gender stuff going on right now. His, hers, ours, it, you, me. So
Well,
anyway,
segmenting that, what that gets into is that gets into the sales conversation of figuring out what their true interest is. But if the man is the true prospect here, then it wouldn't make sense to say men or women. In Woody's case, it absolutely makes sense to say buy or sell because it's real estate. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
man or woman. But in Roger's case, he might figure out like what are the avenues of why someone would want this, and then have those 2 buttons or those 3 buttons, and then they could click on that.
yeah, that's what I was thinking of, having just 2 buttons with 2 different avatar paths. You know, I thought of men and women, but
Yeah.
I would. Go ahead.
If you have multiple avatars, then yes, absolutely. Because you want to get them into the right conversation as quickly as possible. Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
So, all right, now we're on to Mr. Wolf over here. I was waiting for you to hop on, so I wanted to share your PDF here. All right, so we're going to share what Jeff sent in. Okay, so give us a little background here, Jeff, on what this is and what it's for, and we'll rip her up for you.
Excellent. This is for my next book release, and the book itself is meant to be a marketing piece for operations consulting and scaling, and advisory work, scaling businesses. It's based on the case study that I'm most proud of, where we took a company that was already decided it was going to be closed, and they gave us 30 days to demonstrate that we could make it profitable enough to keep open. And they were doing okay. They just weren't profitable enough to survive in Los Angeles. And we succeeded in doing that. That's some of the results that we got. So it's written, we want to use the book, not so much to get people to read it, but use it as a way to market training and advisory services. Okay. So the target is founders and CEOs of companies that are running somewhere between about $7-8 million and $25 million in sales.
Okay. All right, cool. So from a book cover perspective, one of the most important things about a book cover is, guess what? Grabbing attention. It's the big idea concept. So when I looked at this, the first thing I saw, or the first thing I thought when I saw this, was it came to mind the 4-Hour Work Week, the book, The 4-Hour Work Week. That was the finished product, but the pre-product, what he originally had planned, I thought was very similar to what you've got here. And basically the change in the one title made a massive difference in his success. It made that book famous, not because of the contents, but because of the title. And the thing that made it famous was he keyed in on the promise of what everyone wants in entrepreneurialism. What do they want? They want the 4-hour work week. So here we need to figure out, because the creating business value, that's just kind of a generic out there, everyone's heard it. It doesn't really have much meaning like the 4-hour work week. So you got to figure out what's behind this. What do they really want? Why do they want it? Why you got to figure out what is the promise. I think you're at least one step away from it, if not multiple steps away from it. And what I do is always ask the question of, why do you want that? Like if you said, hey, I could create business value for you, I'd say, why do I want that? And then what would you say if I ask you that? If I said, why do I want business value? Your answer would be,
so I can pay for the kids' college.
Okay.
So I can pay the mortgage on my house.
so
that I can execute my, in this age group, they're going to be thinking about, okay, what's how to exit the business.
Okay. So if this book is based around exiting, because you've kind of got a couple of different things here in the bullets down here. I see valuation up, earnings up, productivity up. This is kind of like a grow my business. There's a big difference in somebody that wants to grow their business and create a, you know, a freedom lifestyle, and somebody that wants to exit their business. And the things that, the reasons that they want those things, like I want to grow my business because I want to travel the world and I want to have the business fund it for me. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I want there. Now, if I want to exit my business, I probably want to retire and I don't want to have to worry about shit anymore. So you really need to get clear on the promise and why the promise is important to the person. And I can assure you of this, in any kind of marketing, whatever you guys are doing, if you don't figure out the promise, you won't grab the attention effectively. You know, it's like the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, it was released with the previous title. I wish it's actually in the ACT training somewhere. I used it as an example. And it's got an example of the previous title, which it was released with, and it was a disaster. It sold no copies. All he did was he changed the title of the book. There was zero change to the contents of the book. I'm not sure if anyone ever even read the book, but it sold off the shelves like hotcakes because of the big idea, because of the title. That's how important that title can be. And, you know, whenever you're creating a big idea, the primary thing that you need to figure out is, what is it that you're promising? Are you promising the right thing? You know, and if you get down to the questioning, the important questions is, why do they want it? What's it going to do for them? You know, if you look at their timeline based on the ACT program, the timeline tells you where the prospect is and where they want to be. And along the way, you know, your questions are, why do they want to be there? What's that going to do for them? How are they going to feel when they get there? You know, in the 4-Hour Workweek, it just wrapped it up. It's got a picture of the guy in the hammock reading a book. You know? So that's what the entrepreneurs want. They want the lazy lifestyle. They want to go hang out on the beach, and they want to come in and work 4 hours a week. You know, it was the ultimate promise. So that is where, and I know you're frustrated with this, and I am quite often when I do this process, because a lot of times, you know, we'll throw out something and we think it's awesome, and it is, but it's not. You know, because it doesn't hit that key thing. You've got to have the promise. And with the 4-Hour Workweek, he had the unique mechanism. The unique mechanism was in the book in itself, and it was implied. It wasn't even said. You had the implication that I buy this book and I'm going to live the 4-Hour Workweek. The book was the unique mechanism that was going to deliver the result. So, and the way he said it was, you know, that was the unique, compelling way that it was brought through. No one had said that before. So that's that's basically the key components to the big idea. It's the promise, the unique mechanism that's going to deliver the result, and the way that you say it in a way that they've never heard it before, that is intellectually interesting. It evokes curiosity. Like, you almost had to read that book to figure out, how am I going to get this? I want this. The book's what's going to deliver it. That's where the information lies. That's like the perfect storm for success. So Kaya, you got your hand up.
Oops. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a question. And so
Okay.
the thing that I'm selling or creating is an online program. And I'm only doing one module right now. I have 3 different modules, but it's basically looking at all the invisible forces that affects people's sleep that they have no idea. And so the
Okay.
first one I'm doing is design, your sleeping sanctuary, where you sleep, the impacts of different things. The other one, the science of sleep, is actually gets into all the electromagnetic fields. I've studied with an engineer, and so how that impacts your sleep and your health. And then the third one is the alchemy of sleep, which talks about the last 40 years, all these different methodologies I picked up from different teachers to work with calming the nervous system throughout the day and the evening, so that you can actually rediscover the blueprint of sleep, which is everyone has it. It's like sort of uncovering it. So, so I'm just playing with the piece of putting the program together.
Okay,
But
cool.
I also realized that the promise is like that verbiage, that wordsmithing, the verbiage is crucial. You know, so just like you're saying, to catch someone. Otherwise, like, oh yeah, blah blah. I mean, the content's fabulous. I have no question about it, and it's not out there. So that's great, but it's like the upfront is really crucial.
Yeah, so you have to be careful, like especially for you, because you are obviously highly educated. I can tell by your speech.
Mhm.
You have to be careful. You have to dumb things down. Like you got to be careful not to get into the details before the sale.
Yeah.
Because if it looks like a lot of work, if it looks like, oh man, I got to be educated for this, I'm not smart enough for that, those will create hidden objections that they won't come up because they don't want to admit it, but they just won't make the sale. So they're hidden objections that you have to anticipate and eliminate before you make your offer, or remove them. So I would recommend that you really bring it down to the core promise is they want a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
The reason that they want it, that's what you should be focused on, is what is it doing to not have that? What's it costing them to not get that good night's sleep? That's where your marketing should be revolved around, because that's what they want. That's why they want it. And all the details, that is all part of the program. That is revealed after they get in.
Yeah. And so it has a lot to do with relationships, your health, you know, intimacy. I mean, do you have any intimacy in your bedroom, or is it like a morgue? And so there's different titles I have, like, you know, deal breakers in the bedroom, you know, different things like that. But
and to Allie's point, like Allie said, you know, have the buttons on there. That's a big thing, is figure out, like, you have your product, you're going to have multiple avatars. You're going to have the people where it's affecting their sex. You're going to have the people it's affecting their work. You're going to have the people it's affecting their relationship with their kids. So if you can pinpoint the top 2 or 3 of those, and then create a button on your site of click here if you have this, click here if you have that, then they can self-select and you can speak their language.
Oh, interesting. And that's like,
really
you had that on the front page where it's like, it's different things, but it's taking them into the same place.
Yeah. Like you could have a title, is your poor sleep affecting your relationship, your time in the bedroom, your family life, your work life, whatever those things are, and then just have them self-select. They click the button and you go right into their language.
Great.
Don't try and speak to everyone.
Yeah.
Because you won't speak to anyone.
That's curious. I've never seen that before.
You'll see that in highly effective marketing campaigns online.
Nice. I like it. Awesome. Thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeff, back to this. So that's this piece. We covered the headline. That is like uber important that you get that promise right. Next, we go down here, a 30-day challenge. And that sounds like a lot of work. I know there's a group of people out there that love the whole challenge thing, but they like work. They're kind of sadistic in that perspective, and it's a small group. It's a small group compared to the ones that want the easy way out. More people want the easy button than want a 30-day challenge. 30-day challenge, that's ominous. That's like, holy shit, this is going to take a month. not as many people will sign up for that as an easy button. So, you know, you want to figure out what this promise is, and then this should be the easy way to get it. Not a 30-day challenge. Even if it is the 30-day challenge, what happens, it's just like with Kaya, you have to indoctrinate them on what they want, and then show them why it's going to be worth working this hard to get it. So if you don't get the carrot out in front, you can't get the horse to the water. It's just that simple. So don't throw out stuff like, you know, big ominous things that get in the way that, you know, you got to do this if you want that. That's not the, you know, a good way to market. That's a good way to repel people. So does that make sense?
Doctrine.
I think Jeff's still on here.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I was muted.
Okay.
Yes, no, that completely makes sense.
Yeah. So down here, and again, when you're creating your bullets, you make sure that they're in alignment with that promise. Like here, I'm kind of confused. I don't know if I want to retire and sell my business or if I want to grow my business, because it's kind of a mixed kind of message. And hopefully, again, I don't mean to be discouraging with this, and I'm just calling it out, boom, 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 because I want you to be effective at whatever you do.
John, you just crushed my dream. How could you? I asked for the feedback, and I really do appreciate it. Plus what's coming up in the comments. So
yeah, absolutely.
And it makes it easier for me to see where it's convoluted, and I know why. Because like the company values, I got that in there, and it's stuck in my head because and this is actually this is a different marketing track, because I want to market to private equity funds, but that has nothing to do with the avatar that this is intended for right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, the cool thing about a book is the contents doesn't necessarily have to change, but you could have 3 covers for the same book. you could make a career out of just creating covers to cover different avatars and sell them the same thing.
Yeah, and in the way it's structured, I can get at least 4 different distinct audiences out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with different covers.
Absolutely. So that gives you multiple marketing things. I bet you this is the funny part. I bet you if you did that, if you offered the same book with 4 different covers, I bet you would probably never get somebody that called you out on it. Because most people, you know, they download stuff. I don't know how many times have you guys done this? I've done this a number of times. I'll see something, I'll download it, it'll sit on my desktop, and eventually it'll get swept into a someday folder. And I never even get it open. But it got me on that person's list. And then they start marketing to me, and eventually, you know, I might buy something from them. So it's a lead magnet. The idea, if you're going to use a book as a lead magnet, they shouldn't have to go through the book to become a customer. It's just your lead magnet. The only purpose for your lead magnet, the thing that your lead magnet is meant to do, is get them on your list so you can start talking to them.
Well, and I'll really be honest, that's the whole intent with this book. I don't want them to ever crack the cover. I want them to, I want to use it to build my list. And once I get them on my list, I'll tell them what's in the book that's relevant to them based on how we interact.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a perfect way to use a book. You know, that to me is the perfect thing. I've had several people in the past that they created a book as a lead magnet, and they expected people to actually read the book to take the next step and work with them. And I'm like, oh, you got a rude awakening coming with that thought process, because so few people will do that. It's a painful thing.
And that's something else that I catch myself doing, and it is slowly, very painfully slowly, breaking the habit of teaching.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I did so much training earlier in my career that I can't, like, going, dang it. You know, I'm educating again. I'm teaching, preaching, even worse, and not marketing.
Yeah. And that's something that I can see that Kaya is going to have to work on too, is not to go too deep into the details. You know, you do that in the right sequence, but not in the front end of the marketing, because the more details you put out front, the more ominous it becomes to the person you're trying to sell to. The more they're like get overwhelmed and like, oh my God, this is too much, I can't do this. And then they, you know, that creates an objection, then they won't buy. So like
I've
if
done
you
that,
notice,
John, I've done that with the lists and that I give. It's like, you know, the challenge is just a list. It doesn't give the description of what to do. And they read through that. And some of them want to know the in-depth. Okay, tell me the next level on that. Is that
exactly, that's
and I forget who I said. It was somebody at
purpose.
Craig's event that I seen did that. They gave away like a booklet that had the tips.
Yes.
And you get the book for the next level.
Yeah, that's perfect. So like Ryan Dice really described a lead magnet well. He said a lead magnet should make you want to take the next step. And here's, and then he made like 3 bullet points of how your lead magnet should come through. He said it should be easily and quickly consumed, like in seconds, if minutes, if not seconds. It shouldn't take like, you know, an hour to read the book, or, you know, however long the book is. It should literally be consumed in a minute or less. And it should it should leave them wanting more. They should want to take the next step. It should give them some kind of an actionable thing that they can do to get an immediate instant result. So they feel like, oh, this is attainable. You know, just give them that first step and make it simple. Don't make it complicated or complex. Make it where a 3rd grader can do this. And if they take the step and they get the action, they get the result, they will be closer to their desired outcome. The closer you can move them in a quick, easy way, the more they will desire to get to the end of the rainbow. The more they want it. And the more they want it, the more they're willing to pay for it. So this is how you can increase your value. This is how you can increase your offer dollars. You know, if you want to get more for your product, you need to create more demand for it. They have to want it at a higher level. And, you know, Frank Kern said this really well. He said, I give them a lot. And you notice he does it all in simple language. He doesn't make anything complicated. He breaks things down to like 3rd grade level every time. But he gives them actionable steps to get results, and he moves them down toward their desired outcome. And he will take you for free. He'll take you 90% of the way. If you've ever seen some of his webinars, he will literally give you 90% of what you need. And then he'll sell you the last 10% for some god-awful price. But he's created that value, and, you know, you want it. Like, I remember when I bought his mass control product, I was in an email sequence. This was before video was even a thing on internet marketing. It was just strictly email. He sent a series, I think it was like 7 emails across a 6-week period. And it was indoctrinating you to a product that he was creating, that he was going to sell on a specific date. He never told you how much the product was until he opened the shopping cart on the day of the launch. So you didn't even know how much it was going to be. I was of the opinion it was going to be about 10 grand. It had a value way more than that. It had a value. He made it like, you were not going to live and breathe for another day if you didn't get this thing. I mean, he did it that well. And I remember I had to be out of town the day that he was going to launch it. And before I left, I gave Barb my credit card. And I said, you need to be sitting at the desk at 10 a.m., hitting the refresh button. And as soon as this thing goes, you buy this. I don't care how much it costs. To my surprise, it was 1997, so it was only 2 grand, but I believed it was going to be like 10 grand. And he only had 1,000 units. He sold 1,000 units at $2,000 each. He sold them out in 20 minutes. That was $2 million in sales in 20 minutes. It was absolutely phenomenal. But he did it through creating demand and desire. He walked us down the path far enough that we all realized, hey, we can do this, we can attain this, we can get the promise. And we wanted it so bad, we were willing to pay $2,000 and people piling over one another to do it, to throw money at him in 20 minutes during this launch to get that result. That is incredibly powerful marketing. He figured out what we wanted and why we wanted it. And he teased us down the line, made us believe we could do it, all of that. He did everything in sequence absolutely perfectly. And look at the payoff. You know, it was a $2 million in 20 minutes. Now, yeah, it probably took him 6 months to build that campaign out, but still that result's pretty impressive.
What did you say the name of it was? Create and
it was called Mass Control was the product that he sold.
Oh.
And I got to tell you, all it was how to do email marketing. It was
I got it for a lot cheaper than that, but
yeah, it was him breaking down exactly what he did to sell it to us. That's what it was. And you know, the big thing, you guys know, there's no truth in advertising, right? He told us he would never sell that product again. And no way.
He offers it as a bonus when you buy something now.
Yeah, well, he did sell it again. He sold it as Mass Control 2, which was identical to Mass Control 1. And he did it again. He sold another $2 million worth. And now he gives it away if you buy one of his other products. But we were led to believe that we were going to be 1,000 people that walked the face of the earth that knew these secrets and no one else would ever get access to them. So again, that was part of the creating demand and desire. How would you like to be one of those 1,000 people on earth that knew these secrets and no one else would ever get access to this? That was one of the ways he created that demand and desire. You know, like, I want to be part of that club. I don't care what it costs. That's just one of the little things that he used in there to create that sense of urgency. So in, you know, marketing, I tell people this all the time. If you don't understand the value of marketing and really getting to learn this, how this all works, you're leaving so much on the table. It's ridiculous. This is the most valuable skill you will have as a business owner. You know, anybody can create great products and services, but getting them out, getting a market to want them, and getting them to fight to get them, that's a skill set that's invaluable. You know, and it's basically, the ACT program is broken into 3 primary steps. One is the analysis section. That's understanding who you're selling to and why they want it. It's almost psychology. You know, that's what it is. Your profile. You're figuring out a lot about who you're going to talk to for the purpose of how you're going to talk to them. If you look at any really good salesperson, just sit back. It's fascinating to watch them work. They'll ask questions, and they're so good at this, it'll blow your mind. They'll ask questions, and the reason they're asking the questions is to understand what's important to the person. They will feed back their answers almost verbatim. They'll figure out what that person's language is, and they will speak it back to them. And in some cases, like I said, it's verbatim. They're using their own words back to them because they know those words are meaningful. That's what they do. They'll ask questions before they go into their presentation. You know, some people will say that they're building trust and rapport. Well, yeah, they are, but that's not why they're doing it. They're doing it to figure out what's important to that person so they can make a sale. Figuring out, they're asking some questions based on what objections is this person going to come up with? What are their beliefs? Every objection is based on a belief. If you can uncover those beliefs, you can eliminate the objections very easily. If you don't, then you get to the end and they say no. You know, if you do a perfect presentation of your product and you get to the end and you ask them if they'd like to, you know, move forward with that, and they say no, I guarantee you it's because of an objection. It's something they either didn't understand or they have a belief that's against the purchase. In some cases, it's as simple as they don't believe they can do it. You know, they might have tried it before. They might have tried someone else's product and it didn't work. So they have this hidden little belief in the back of their head of, that doesn't work for me. Even though you know it does and it will, they have that belief, which is creating a hidden objection. They're not telling you about it. They're just saying no. So a really good salesperson, how he would deal with that situation is he would say, what's holding you back? And now they're going to throw out the objection. But generally what I've seen is the first thing they say is superficial. It's not the real thing. So they're going to give you a superficial thing because they don't want to really tell you why. If you say, and here's what a really good salesperson will do. They will sympathize with whatever it is, even though they know it might not be real. They will sympathize with it. They'll say, I totally understand that. And then they'll say, other than that, is there anything else that would hold you back? Now, typically on the second or third time they do this, they're going to get the real deal. The real thing's going to bubble to the surface, and now they know what they're dealing with. Once they're all out on the table, once you keep asking that question, is there anything else holding you back? When they get to saying no, that's it. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I'm not buying. Now you know what you're dealing with. Now you can go back to the table. Generally, it's a misunderstanding, or they didn't understand it to begin with. You go back, you re-explain it, you eliminate the objections, and then you ask the question again. Now that you understand, would you like to move forward now? And generally, it will turn to a yes. That's the way a really good salesperson operates. They have to understand the objections. They know how to get them out. They know how to address them. In the ACT program, we've got the formula for how to eliminate any objection. Every objection, like I said, is based on a belief. Whatever that belief may be, you can eliminate the belief, or you can invert the belief from a no to a yes. And where I found that formula was Benjamin Franklin. And it's claim, proof, benefit is the formula. You make a claim contrary to the belief, which that could be argumentative if you just left it at that, because that's a he said, she said thing. But that's only where you start. You make a claim contrary. If they don't believe they can do it, you say you can do this. That's your claim. Now you back it up. I said claim, proof, benefit. Now you back it up with at least 2 proof points. That's not just you saying it. This is proof out of the market. This is proof from clinical studies. This is proof from wherever you can pull the proof points. Now, once you've proved it, now it went from a hearsay to a fact. Most sane people won't argue a fact because they don't want to look foolish, right? That's the way the psyche works. So now that it's a fact, you've just inverted the belief. They have a new belief now. They have the belief, I can do this. You proved it. Now you reattach it to the benefit of the outcome, the thing that they really wanted anyway. They just believed they couldn't have it. Claim, proof, benefit. That's how you invert any objection. You just have to understand what those objections are to be able to do that. The process itself is fairly simple. Getting to the bottom of your market and figuring out what those beliefs are. And that's part of the whole thing. That's part of the analysis. Figuring out, what does this person believe? What do they hear? What have they heard? What have they tried? Where are they in their timeline? How do they feel about it? Do they feel hopeless? Generally, somebody that feels hopeless has a belief that this doesn't work. There's no way out. So you have to know that. Your marketing has to address that. That's how you create demand and desire, by eliminating those objections and letting them see, hey, I can really do this. I can really get the promise. You know, we talk about seducing the heart and convincing the head. You seduce the heart. The heart is like the heart is the subconscious. The heart is like a little kid. It just wants what it wants, and it wants it right now. It doesn't know right or wrong. It just wants what it wants. The head is the conscious mind. And the job of the head is to protect the heart at all costs. So if the head has a belief that this can't be done, it will not allow the heart to be broken. And that is just human nature behavior from the caveman days. It still exists. It's very much alive and well in our souls. The head is there to protect the heart. So, and you've got subconscious and conscious working together. So I say you have to seduce the heart and convince the head. That's how you're going to get a sale. That's how you're going to get a conversion. That's how you're going to get a yes. So you seduce the heart with promise. All you have to do is tell the heart what it wants to hear, and it's in love. It falls in love very fast and very easily. Like I said, it wants what it wants, and it wants it now. It's just like a little kid. It doesn't care. Right or wrong, it doesn't care. It just wants what it wants. It wants it right now. The head is the problem. The head steps in the way and says, oh no, hold on, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I don't believe that. That's where you have to understand, why is it doing that? What does it believe? How do we eliminate the objections? The head thrives on facts. That's what will convince the head. Facts, figures, common sense, logic, reason. That's where claim, proof, benefit comes in. That's how you convince the head. Once you've done that, the objection is the only thing standing in the way of a sale when you've seduced the heart. That's why you got to go to work and convince the head. Got to eliminate the objections before you make the offer. Because in real life, the salesman's really good at figuring out what they are if the person says no. Your funnel's not going to do that. If they get into your funnel and they get to the offer and they say no, they're just gone. It's game over. So it's really important that you figure this out ahead of time. This is like playing a chess game. You've got to figure out the moves way in advance. You have to know what your opponent's going to do, and you have to counter it, not even allow it to happen.
So John, you were saying that you have to, the first piece is with the heart, convincing the heart. Then you put in the pieces about the mind, which is the convincing.
It's seduce the heart, convince the head.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's where your attention grabbers are. Your attention grabbers are always focused on the heart. If the heart doesn't want it, the head doesn't care. The head doesn't have a problem. The head's just, oh yeah, I'm waiting for a problem to come up. You know, the heart wants something, and then the head's going to go, oh, wait a minute. Something smells fishy here. I've heard that before. And that's the last thing you want to do. That's another reason why a salesperson will spend time not going in right into a sales pitch. They will spend time creating trust and rapport with you by talking to you, asking you questions, asking you about your kids, all that kind of stuff. They're putting the head at ease. Because the first thing the head thinks when a salesman shows up is, what the hell is this guy going to sell me? That's a massive objection, right? So he's got to eliminate that. He's got to smooth that water out. That's the first thing he's trying to do. Whatever you want to call it, you know, trust, rapport, that's what it is. He's trying to put the mind at ease of, hey, I'm just here to help. You know, I'm not here to sell you anything. If you listen to Frank Kern very often, he will say that more times than you can imagine. I'm not here to sell you anything, but he sells everything. But he leads with, I'm not here to sell you anything today, right? But by the end of the day, you will want that thing, whatever it is, so bad you can't stand it. So it's pretty cool stuff. I mean, I love this game. This is it's a thinking person's game, and I absolutely love it. You know, problem solving has kind of just been my thing since I was a kid. And, you know, the whole thing about marketing, it's just solving a problem. How do we address this? How do we catch this fish? How do we skin this cat? Whatever it is. So,
I remember, it's so funny because I used to sell these organic body care products at these farmers markets. And I went up to this man who sells jewelry and I said, watch this. And that's all I said. And there was a woman who came up to his stall and she's like, oh my God, I really like this. And I could see that she really liked this pair of earrings. And so then I was looking at him. I said, oh my God, those are so beautiful. And I knew he only had one of a kind. And so I asked him and I said, do you have any more of those just like that one? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I said, well, if she doesn't buy them, I'll buy them. I'll come back later. And then I walked away.
yeah, she bought them, didn't she?
Of course she bought them.
Yeah.
I was like, you can commission me if you want. But it was that scarcity.
Yeah.
So her heart was already, yeah, it was funny. It was a small thing, so I felt okay doing it.
Yeah. I did a similar thing, and this was really mean on my behalf, but I was younger and much more aggressive. But a friend of mine was selling these high-powered electric scooters, and I showed up at his booth at a trade show, and you could put two people on these things and take them for a spin. Well, he had a light version, and then he had one called the Racer, which was very powerful. So this guy showed up, and he was a little guy, and he had an absolutely gorgeous girl on his arm, and he was interested in these scooters. And I said, well, here, take this one for a test drive. And I gave him the light powered one. And I said, yeah, I'll take your girlfriend for a ride on this one. And I put her on the high powered one. I just blew past him, and she's just having a great time. We get back to the booth, and he's like, can I try that one out? I'm like, oh no, this is much too powerful for you. And he wound up buying two of the, either $3,000 a piece. He wound up buying two of the powerful ones.
Oh my God. Okay, there has to be in all of this. I just want to say there has to be a level of humanity.
I know, like I said,
I know.
And I would not do that now, but I did, and now I admit it.
So fun! It's so fun to do, yeah.
So I didn't always wear a halo.
Well, it's
I wasn't
experiment.
always a police officer. I fractured an occasional law as a child.
Exactly.
So then, I just because review again, because you said the salesperson. So the person arrives at they're already in love with the car. So you're always saying that piece has happened, correct? Okay.
Yeah. So now you have to figure out
Then it's
the heart is what loves the car.
yeah.
Right? The head is what you have to convince now that, and it might be a value thing. It might be a money thing. It could be any number of things. That's where the salesperson's going to start asking some questions. He might ask, what do you drive currently? They're looking at a Corvette and they're driving a VW, or an old Yugo, he might have a concern there. So, but he's going to try and figure out, hey, what's your address? Just the address, just the zip code can clue him in to whether he's got somebody that can afford this car or not. So there's a lot of stuff that they can subtly figure things out, and some of it's visual. Like if people come out to your house to do a sales call, they're looking around, they're seeing how you live. Are you a clean person, or, do you have pictures of family up? Is family important to you? Do you drive a fancy car? Like for me, I've got stuffed fish on my wall. I've never had a salesperson that didn't address the fact that I like to fish. And I usually throw them off when they say, oh, you like fishing too? I'm like, no, I hate fishing. I can't stand fishing. And they're like looking really well, that's your fish. And I'm like, yeah, I like catching. I don't like fishing. But it really kind of throws them for a loop when I say I hate fishing.
So on the landing page for most people, how do you suggest that people lead? With the positive, with the heart, with the addressing?
The promise is the best place to start. and figuring out, how many different avatars could whatever you have serve, and then allowing them to self-select. That's probably the biggest piece right there, is allowing them to self-select and then make the promise based on what they selected. And again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to emulate, you're trying to replicate what works in the real world. What's worked in the real world's worked for a very, very long time. And I don't see it changing anytime soon just because the internet came along. The only difference here is the medium for delivering the messages and the way that we interact. That's the only thing. It's the mechanism to deliver the message. That's the only thing that changed. So what has always worked in the real world, if you can figure out how to digitize it, you will be able to automate the process. And when you can automate a process that makes you money, that's the true path to freedom. That's the way you can grow and scale a business and not have to kill yourself working too hard. So to me, that's like the creme de la creme. How do we make money and not have to work hard? So cool stuff. All right, anybody got anything else here?
Were you really going to cover anything about Google My Business, John?
I was, but we got onto a couple of other things, and I think I'm going to probably push it out to next week, because it's probably about a half hour of content. I don't think anybody wants to stay on here make it a 2-hour call. But yeah, I do have a Google My Business thing that I wanted to go through and kind of bring that up to speed. So
well, I guess we'll be here next week as usual, John.
That's it. You guys are here every week, so we'll stretch it out for you.
That's a good Google.
Yeah, Google My Business, for anybody that doesn't know, that's like Google has a free website for everybody, and they do a Google My Business, and they give you the opportunity to show up in Google even if you don't have a website. Now, if you have a website, you take the Google My Business deal that they give you for free, you connect it to your website, and now you have an SEO connection. And the fact that they're connected, if more people go to your website, it helps your Google My Business rank better. If people interact with your Google My Business, it helps your website rank better. So it's a very synergistic, good thing to do for your business, whether you're a local business or a national manufacturer, it doesn't matter. You should have a Google My Business page, and you should connect it to your web page. We'll kind of go through that next week. So cool stuff. That'll give you guys a good reason to come back. And again, sometimes I'll cover a topic, and this week we had a couple of people that had sent stuff in, so that gave me a really good base to to start with. But next week we'll start off with that, and we'll go from there. But the call's always open for you guys, whatever you need, whenever you need it.
So you're leaving us with another open loop, John.
Another open loop. You should learn something from me about that. But no, Richard, I didn't really mean to do that. I got so wrapped up in the rest of it, I completely forgot about that.
We forgive you, John.
I'm glad you reminded me, though, because it's good stuff, and we will definitely cover it next week. So, all right, guys, have a great week. Thank you all for being on. Great questions, great comments, as always. Good stuff. Keep up the good work.
All ashore is going ashore. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye.
Ron has a question. He has his hand up. Bye.
Oh, Ron, I thought you were just saying bye. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to. I want to let you know I got Kartra. I've started my landing page. I've got I'm going to make a video on this thing, and I want you to. Should I send you some of this stuff, or should we? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you now. I think I got it. I think I'm getting close.
Okay, cool.
I'd like you to bleed on it for me, and then I'd like to show the team next week sometime.
Okay, cool. I'd love to do that. Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks,
Sorry,
John.
I thought you were waving by. I thought you had to go.
No, that's good. Thanks for talking. Thanks for, I'll send you some stuff now, and I'd love to get your opinion on it. That fantastic. Thank you, John.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be back on next week. So you guys keep up the good work and have a great week.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see you all.
And
Bye.
John,